Today we're going to be talking about the Pythagorean theorem. And the Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And it happens whenever we talk about a right triangle. So let's look at some vocabulary. A right triangle is a triangle with a right angle. So if you look here, this right here is our right angle. And our right angle is 90 degrees. Our hypotenuse is the longest side of a right triangle. Our hypotenuse is always directly across from our right angle. So this side length right here, this is my hypotenuse. The legs are the two sides of a right triangle that meet at the right angle. So this is a leg and this is a leg because they meet at the right angle. Pythagorean triples are a set of numbers that fit the rule a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So if I look at my right triangle, my hypotenuse is always my c, and then my legs are going to be a and b. Now remember, it doesn't matter which one you give a and which one you give b, just know that the legs have the two letters a and b. Now Pythagorean triples, they're always going to be multiples of 3, 4, and 5. So now that we've gone over some vocabulary, let's look at some of the steps to solving missing triangle lengths. So we're always going to use this formula, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, which is really just the leg length squared plus the other leg length squared equals the hypotenuse length squared. So let's do this one together. It gives us the steps here, but I'm also going to write them over here on the side. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to label my sides. So I have A, B, and C. I know C is always the longest side, and it's always directly across from that 90-degree angle. So then I'm going to take my a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and I'm going to plug in these values into the correct variable spot. So for a, I'm going to plug in 4. So I have 4 squared plus my b, which is 3. So 3 squared equals c squared, which is this spot right here. Then I'm going to simplify, which means I'm just going to take the 4 squared and I'm going to put what that equals. So 4 squared equals 16 plus 3 squared, which equals 9, and that equals c squared. Step 4 over here is I'm going to add the legs together. So I have 16 plus 9, which equals 25. So that equals c squared. But remember, I'm not looking for c squared. I'm looking for c by itself. I want to know this length right here. So how I cancel out that squared right here is I need to take the square root. And if I do it to one side of my equation, I have to do it to the other side. So I need to figure out what the square root of 25 is. And the square root of 25 is 5. So c equals 5. So this is the steps when you're missing the hypotenuse. Whenever you are missing that longest length of your triangle, you plug in your a into your Pythagorean theorem, you plug in your b into your Pythagorean theorem, and then you just solve to get c by itself. Now, let's look at steps for whenever we are missing a leg length. So if I look right here at this example, okay, I'm still going to use the a squared plus b squared equals c squared. But here I can see that I have an a, but I'm missing my b, and my longest side here, my hypotenuse c, I have. So I'm looking for this b value. So I'm going to plug in what I know. I have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Well, I know my a is 4, so I have 4 squared plus, I don't know b, so I'm going to leave it as b, and my c value is 5, so I'm going to have 5 squared. So now I simplify. 4 squared is 16. I still don't know what b is, so I'm going to leave it as b squared, and that equals 5 squared, which is 25. Now, I need to get b all by itself. This is my goal. I want to get b all by itself. So I need to subtract this 16 from this side, and if I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other. So those will cancel out. So now I have b squared equals 25 minus 16, which equals 9. Now remember, I want to get b all by itself. So I need to cancel out that squared. And the way I do that is I take the square root. If I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other. So I have b equals 3. So this right here equals 3. Now you're going to finish the remaining practice problems on this page.